Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us in this space that we are creating to help educate and entertain in all areas of real estate.
So get ready to get real with Jen and Shell.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Get Real with Jen and Shell, but also a very special guest today, Miss Halee Bowman. Welcome, Halee.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, we are thrilled that you could make time in your very busy schedule. Halee is the insurance goddess whom we love, worship, and respect. So, Halee, can you tell us a little bit about you and what got you into insurance and then what you're also seeing in the market?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about me. I have been in insurance. I'm with Archgate Insurance. We are a local brokerage here in Lubbock. I've been with Archgate for a little over a year and a half now. Prior to that, I was in the mortgage world, which was great, but I just felt this calling to jump into insurance. And I have loved it ever since. So I still get to work with everybody just on a little bit of a different realm. Still get to work with lenders and realtors that I love, help clients out, make sure that they're properly protected. So it's a lot of fun, day in, day out, still just a different type of mental puzzle that keeps me busy every single day. Market wise, insurance is a doozy. I'm sure everybody's feeling it, whether you own a home, you own a car, you are looking to buy a home, you're in the middle of having a contract and you're trying to shop to, insure your new home. It is a wild, wild market right now. We have seen a steady increase across the board the last few years, and that is trending to be true this year as well. There's a lot of things that go into that. You've got the cost of materials, the cost of labor, the amount of natural disasters we've had, both state and nationwide, factor into that. So, look at those natural disasters, it's how those carriers are paying out based off of the damage caused by those. So all of those things have made our prices just go up and up and up, which is not fun. But that's why it's important to have a good agent, work with a brokerage if you can, because we're able to shop around. We have different carriers, that may be a better fit than what you currently. You're even seeing more surplus lines carriers in our market, which, they kind of fill the gaps of what a carrier can't do. So even though it is high, we are definitely still seeing some options out there to hopefully help everybody out.
Can you explain to us, like, as a new home buyer who we maybe never have done it before, dumb it down for us. When somebody is talking about I'm sorry, this is wrong thing. So when somebody is talking about your deductibles and they're saying 1%, 2%, 5%, can you kind of dumb that down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is one of the biggest things to look at when you are looking at your policy, your current policy, your renewals, your, quotes that you're getting when you're reshopping those things, because a lot of these carriers are upping those and not making a big deal out of it. And if you don't know what that means, you're not going to realize how much of a big deal it is. And then we're also seeing, yes, unfortunately. And especially on the quotes too, because the market is so competitive, a lot of these agents are quoting higher deductibles. And while that pretty premium is a lot lower than what you're going to see, it's not fun when you get your claim. So your deductible, you have your all peril deductible and your wind and hail deductible. Your all peril is going to be things like water, fire, lightning, anything like that. Your wind and hail is going to be more along the lines of like your roof is what you think of. It's a little bit more than that, but wind and hail is really going to be anything that can be damaged by a wind or hailstorm. So that could also be your fence, your garage doors, your gutters, your pergolas, anything like that could also fall under that category. When you're looking at your percentages, it's 1 and 2% of your replacement cost. So if the replacement cost of your home is $300,000, your all peril deductible is going to be, a 1%, $3,000. If you have a 2%, it's going to be $6,000. Where this comes in is we're seeing 3%, 5%. So, if you have a 5% wind and hail deductible, that puts you paying 15,000 out of pocket for a new roof or vents or whatever you need before insurance is going to step in and help you out. So that's why paying attention to those deductibles is very, very important.
Makes sense. So, what's the difference between replacement costs and actual cash value?
So replacement cost and actual cash value. That is a great question. So replacement cost is going to say you have a fire and your house burns down. Replacement cost is going to give you the exact same house. They are going to pay and replace it at today's market materials. But it is going to give you a brand new house. It is going to replace the one that you have. Actual cash value is a depreciated amount. So they're going to look at the market depreciation of the home, and then you get a depreciated amount to rebuild, which is often significantly less than what it would actually cost to rebuild. So paying attention to that is very important. That also applies to your roofs. So replacement cost is going to cover the entire roof versus the actual cash value is a sliding scale, and it's going to give you a smaller depreciated amount, and then you are responsible for paying for the rest. Important fact there, speaking of actual cash value on the roof, that's also something that's really good to look at. The average lifespan when it comes to these carriers when they're looking at your shingles is anywhere from 10 to 15 years. So once you hit that 10 to 15-year mark, they're going to automatically put in play an actual cash value endorsement on your roof. So if you do have an older roof, it is very important to look at that as you get your renewal paperwork to make sure you're still properly insured. Consider getting a new roof if you need one. But that time frame kind of just depends on the carrier, but it happens with all carriers. So
And it happens with no notice because my house in Tahoka reached that depreciating level. Unbeknownst to me, I'm very busy. I did not pay attention to how long that roof has been on that house because let's face it, I don't just keep track of that. I do now. And we had to get that roof replaced last year. Guess who we had to do an ACV actual cost because they depreciated it out. I was very grumpy. So
I
definitely watch out.
understand that hurts me for you.
I was upset.
Yeah. So, how often should people be shopping for their insurance? So, like, let's say they need their premium to be at a certain amount to get approved, right? So, they really love this house. They're going to have to go with a little bit higher deductible because they need their premiums low for now, but they have a plan for like some job changes or things start to improve over the next year or so. When should they shop insurance again?
At renewal is usually the average. So a lot of my clients ask me, is insurance a contract? Am I locked in for 12 months? The answer to that is no. You're not locked in. You can change midterm. You can change deductibles midterm. So if you do need to, close with a higher deductible to get into your home, totally fine. We see that. That's not a problem. We can do that. And then some carriers will actually let us adjust those deductibles after closing. We usually say, between 45 and 90 days to get your mortgage account set up, then we can make those adjustments. Or if we need to move you to another carrier, we can do that. So you're not locked in for the 12 months. Now, on a standard rolling scale, I would say it's great to shop it at renewal. You'll get your renewal notice in the mail typically 30 to 45 days in advance. Sometimes you get more advance notice than that. They'll either mail it to you or email it to you. You can also access it in your portals. Once you have that notice, start because with brokerages, we can look at a lot of different carriers. Some of these carriers are locking down and they have some more questions about ages of roof and updates in the home and things like that. So to give yourself adequate time, I would say to actually start shopping about a month out from your actual renewal. So if you renew in September, start shopping in August just to get a look. That way you have time to line everything up. If you escrow your taxes and insurance, that gives your servicer time to get payment to the new carrier. So it all be all, you could do it at any time, but at least at renewal.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I actually have a question about um It'll come to me. It was just there. Dang it. I totally spaced. We were talking about renewal.
Mm-hmm.
I have another tidbit while you're thinking of that.
Go.
When it comes to closing with higher deductibles, legally, your agent cannot call you to make that change. So we always tell our clients if we're closing you with, 3% and you want a 1 and a 2, then set a calendar reminder for about a month out to call me, because as an agent, we cannot change your coverages without your request. So just kind of a fun fact to know there.
Do you guys ever notify since you are a brokerage, instead of like if I was just going with State Farm or something, where I don't have an agent that maybe is regularly checking my stuff, do you guys provide any kind of service like, hey, it would be a good time to start shopping, or it's time, because people forget, right? Like they don't
Yeah.
remember that a year out they need to be looking. Do you guys?
We do now. We do now. We actually hired some help on our service team. So we have Lauren, who we service everything in house. So she is in our Lubbock office. She's our operations manager and our servicing manager. We hired her some help. Her name is Peyton. And Peyton is helping send out those renewal notices to our clients, just saying, hey, here's what your renewal is. If you've had a little bit of an increase, let us know if you want to make any changes. I've copied your agent here. Let us know if you need anything. So yes, we now actually are reaching out to our clients regarding their renewals.
I love that.
Awesome. I remembered my question. Can you shine some light on why, when we're in the home buying process and we have some roofs in particular that are probably borderline, like they may not have enough damage to arguably be considered and deemed uninsurable? Why are we, as like a buyer's agent, we can't get insurance companies to send people out, adjusters out, to deem if it's insurable or not until after we close?
So I have a lovely relationship with this too. So unfortunately, carriers don't send. Are you okay?
Fine. Sorry.
Why do I feel like there's a snippet of her coughing in every single episode?
It is.
Yeah, I can't remember how to swallow.
She's an allergy sufferer, and I think it just affects her all the time.
It's very annoying. I'm so sorry. Continue.
You're fine. You're fine. So the carriers don't send their inspectors out until we have bound the policies. Sometimes that gets the inspector out there ahead of time. Usually it's after closing. So we don't have a way to request an adjuster from the carrier to go out ahead of time. They just unfortunately don't do that. So what we do in the meantime is we try to get all of the opinions. So we have a list of roofers that we work with personally, and they're great. They take really good care of our clients. So we'll send out 1 or 2 of them to get their opinion. Really honest guys, and they will straight up tell us like, hey, you're fine. Hey, you need a replacement, or this one's unfortunately going to be borderline. We're just going to have to see what happens. Here's the repairs I think they may ask for. So that is in itself is at least a little bit helpful to have maybe what to expect. But that's something we're always really honest with about our clients, is when we're looking at the photos, the listing photos, if we see anything that might be a red flag, or if they tell us the age of the roof and we think that could be a red flag, we really try to be proactive, because we don't have a way to send a carrier inspector out there ahead of time to hopefully avoid any issues. And that definitely does help. We do still see some carriers come back and say, these shingles are flipped up or these shingles are missing. And more often than not, we're just seeing the need for repairs versus replacement, but it definitely does kind of put a kink in for the agents and the buyers when we don't know until after closing.
Yeah, no, I mean, but it makes sense. Like I mean, the logic, having you explain that to me makes, I think you're probably the first one that's ever explained it so well, because I get it. Like they're not actively, it's not bound yet. So can't really send somebody out there. I do love that you guys are so proactive, because that's, as a realtor, we're also trying to be proactive and see the problems before they become a problem. And I know sometimes like we just can't predict everything, even though we do our best. We're good, but we're not God, right? And so we do our best. Some of the red flags that I've seen come back and kind of be an issue after we're closed and on insurance is overhang from trees on the main structure. That's a big one.
We had a cracked sidewalk where it was like kind of crumbling. Like,
I disagreed with this one.
That may have just been a very picky carrier. Some of them are being very picky, which in our area with the amount of hail and wind that we've had this year, I can't say that I'm like, I don't like it as an agent, but I can't say that.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I can relate to that. Like, it irritates me. Well, and then like in one case that I had, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, and they were upset about overhang from a tree on the structure, except for it wasn't overhanging the structure. And so like I went out there, I had an arborist meet me out there. Like we took photos. Like I went ahead and had the tree trimmed for my client because like they couldn't afford to do that after just buying a house. And they still ended up dropping their coverage and we had to scramble. And so that was not fun. But I didn't have Halee as an advocate back then either. So
well, it's definitely not fun. And I will say that our agency, if we think it's wrong, we will fight it. We have really good relationships with our carriers. So if we do get a report back, that says this tree is overhanging, and there have been times that I have driven out properties myself and taken pictures and been like, hey, here is this from all angles. I'm not seeing where this is an overhang. Can you provide some more insight? And they're like, oh, well, when we have those photos, we're good. Don't worry about it. We'll rescind this. So I think it's also really big of who you have in your corner. Now, again, some of these carriers will not budge, and that's unfortunately their guidelines, and we have to abide by those. But we do have some really, really great carriers that are willing to work with us on things like that. And like I said, we try to be proactive. So if I'm looking at listing photos and I see tree branches touching the roof, I will say, hey, here's your quote. I'll run through it. By the way, before we bind this, I do want to let you know that I think carriers may have an issue with those tree limbs that are touching the roof. That might be something you want to talk to the sellers about to see if they would be willing to get that trimmed for you before closing. And more often than not, it works and things get taken care of ahead of time. But just being proactive and, looking at those photos to try to catch anything that we can. Obviously, we can't catch anything or everything. We've had issues with like electrical panels and things like that lately that have been kind of fun. But what we can't see, we try to get. So
did that electric panel happen to be a Federal Pacific one?
It sure did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because let me just tell you, those are also a problem for me. And anytime I show a home that has a Federal Pacific panel box, when we write the offer, we are already requesting in our original offer to get that sucker replaced.
God, that you're doing that because it's not. We've had 2 clients that luckily they ended up just getting it replaced anyways once we explained, like, hey, here's why it's a problem. Here's why you should consider getting a new one. We could try to rewrite you, but personally, I would get it replaced, and they ended up getting replaced.
Yeah, and just for everybody listening to this, so a Federal Pacific panel box, it really is not a matter of if your home is going to catch on fire. It is a matter of when. And that is just statistically backed up. And they're no longer made. You cannot get one installed today, brand new, because they are so terrible. And the fuses for them actually cost anywhere from $200 to $300 because they don't make them anymore. So if you do have a Federal Pacific panel box that you refuse to get changed out, your fuses, when they do go out, are going to cost you a pretty penny. And I'd like to point out that a fuse is $200 to $300, and replacing the entire panel can be done for around $900.
So if you need an electrician,
holler us.
Yeah. Take care of that ahead of time because I promise you the carrier is not going to be happy.
Yes, it's a big deal. Like I have only had one house that I have sold that maintained the Federal Pacific panel box, and I actually had them sign a waiver of liability because I couldn't get it.
That's really smart, honestly. That's really smart.
It still makes me nervous every time. Every time, like somebody, like I just see a news article about a house fire, and I'm like, it better not be them, Mainly, I see Federal Pacifics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're on the topic of like fires and all the things,
so much fun.
let's say there, for some reason, let's just talk about a hailstorm, okay? That seems less scary than a fire. But there's a huge hailstorm. How do people start that process? Because we get a lot of questions about that of like, now what do I do? I had a hailstorm and we don't know how to tell them.
Let me get on my soapbox. Let me get on my soapbox about this. Call your agent first. Do not call the carrier first. Call your agent first. If you have a hailstorm that has busted out your windows, hole in your roof, go ahead and tarp it up. Go ahead and do those things. Keep your receipts because your carrier may reimburse you for anything you bought to prevent further damage. After you cover those holes, you call your agent. Now, if you have a hole in your roof and your windows are busted out, you do probably need to file a claim. But we have, like this last one that we had on June 5th, we had a lot of people that they got some hail, but their roofs are fine. There was, it wasn't anything that even needed repair. The problem is if you file a claim and you don't get any repairs, you think that, oh, your claim gets canceled out and you don't have to worry about it. Well, what actually happens is you get a $0 claim on your record. It will show literally as $0. And that will follow you just as a standard claim would for 5 to 7 years, depending on the carrier. That will affect your premium for 5 to 7 years. So even though your insurance company paid out no money, it still shows that you filed a claim and you will still get punished for it. So call your agent first. We will send somebody out. So we like I said, we have roofers that we worked with. So we just had them on speed dial. We connected them with people, send the roofer out there. Now, if they came back and said, yeah, I think they need to file a claim, then we get with our clients and we walk them through the entire process, connect them with their adjusters, things like that. But the biggest thing is always call your agent first. Prevent those $0 claims. They will hurt you.
That is really good to know because I get all the calls when there are busted skylights and windows and all the thing. I get those calls. And so I just send my roofer over to tarp and patch things for them. But I've never known that the best practice here would be to call the agent that you have with your insurance. So that is important. And I will be implementing that information now because I'm always like, it's always so funny. It never fails. My clients and even people that are not my clients, like they'll message me on Facebook, like June 5th, terrible time to be in real estate because we were all just like scrambling, but so many people reached out. My windows are busted or my skylight's busted. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, got it. Let me add you to my roofers list.
Yep.
Rain pouring through my house. And my insurance said, there is no water damage. And I said, would you like the video? Like, are you kidding?
I have video footage.
Yeah.
Right here.
Anyway, we're working through that. Should have called Halee.
It's okay. Well, and that's my thing too, is even if I'm not your agent and you have questions because your current agent is not as helpful or not in the office, call me. Education is the most important thing to me, whether you are my client or not. And people always joke, they're like, oh, curbside consults, I hate to bother you. It is never a bother to me because it is so much more important that I take the 5 minutes to help you understand, because insurance is expensive and I want you to understand what you have, and I want you to understand your coverage, and I want you to understand why we don't want $0 claims, and I want you to understand the whole process. So yes, if that happens again, knock on wood, that it does not.
Call me. 1% deductible from now on, everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, well, I think that's all the questions that we have today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, that was a lot of really good, juicy nuggets that I think everybody just, because insurance is always
juicy nuggets.
Juicy nuggets, morsels of information. See, I don't know why.
Sorry.
Anyway.
A lot of good information.
There's a lot of good information. I'll leave the adjectives and adverbs out.
Yes.
Whatever. But I think that insurance as a whole, it has always been kind of a mystery. And I love that we have advocates out there, such as yourself, that are kind of pulling back the curtain, being very transparent about how it all works. So I love I love that we have advocates out there fighting for our peeps. It's just as hard as we are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is when it comes to insurance, going back to the shopping, even if you think you're in the best spot, shop it so you know you're in the best spot.
Yeah.
It is so much better to be sure and know in this market because it is high and taxes are high. So if there's anything that you can do to try to help yourself out, it is so worth it to at least look.
For sure. Well, thanks for coming. We appreciate you so much. If you guys have any insurance questions, we can connect you with Halee. But I guess we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll catch you next time.
And the only time we don't mind you pushing our buttons is right now. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Perfect. Please leave that in.